two places in society that you're absolutely not allowed to innovate in, and that is the cost of living and the state. We have suburbia with its horrible cost of living, its cost of real estate and land spiraling out of control as we become more and more overpopulated. And then, of course, the example of cities around the country crushing things like car sharing, crushing things like these electric scooters, things like Uber and Lyft. Anything that lowers the cost of living is crushed by the state. Because boomerism, because GDP, and because of our own financial neuroticism, or inherent classism, forces the state to crush anything that helps the poor, crush any innovation that helps the poor. Because helping the poor means costs are going down. And if costs are going down, that means GDP is going down. And if our sacred God, GDP, goes down, then God forbid we look worse on the global stage. And so we need to keep this fabricated fairy tale known as GDP as high as possible. And GDP really is just a measure of inflation. It's a measure of taxation. It's a measure of financial suffering, is really what it is. More so than production. If you want to measure production directly, like tons of wheat per year, or megawatt hours of electric generation. And even the electric generation is actually misguided, because that means efficiencies that reduce the consumption and demand for electricity are considered bad, are regarded as bad in that metric. So I wouldn't even use that last one. Anyway, moving on. Innovation of the state is, of course, highly, highly not allowed. The state is allegedly built to innovate upon itself with constitutional amendments and with legislation, but we really have not seen this happen, other than Social Security and food stamps, and maybe the federal highway system, and that's about all I can think of as far as state innovation that it really actually helps people. Everything else the state has ever done arguably has not helped anyone but the state. So economists view everything through the lens of self-interest, and that is exactly what the state is all about. The economists are fully correct in that regard. The state is all about self-interest. The state is all about maximizing the power and wealth of the state and of the bureaucratic bodies of the state and the employees of the state. And the private sector, the workers, all of those proletariat scum, they get slavery. They get a lifetime of slavery, a lifetime of destitution, and a lifetime of poverty. Because the state gets what's theirs, which is everything, right? Render unto Caesar what is Caesar's. Well, everything under the sun is Caesar's, so pay those fucking taxes. So yeah, well, Arkology is so offensive to so many people because Arkology innovates the cost of living, and the social contract and the Trinity Contracts innovates the state. And this is the third rail of society. This is the third rail of politics. You're not allowed to do these two things. And so we get all of this innovation in like AI, blockchain, software, computer. Like we get our 120-inch 4K TVs. We get our cars, electric cars that go from 0 to 60 in like 1.5 seconds. All of these innovations, all these improvements in those areas that are allowed, those areas that are sanctioned by the government. But these two areas, the cost of living and the state, are not allowed to improve. I mean, what's the last thing the state really did that was arguably beneficial? Is maybe the welfare system in the 60s. And people hate that because it's bullshit. Like, it incentivizes single mothers to have as many children as possible. It incentivizes families to destroy themselves. And, like, it creates a class system amongst the workers of the people on welfare and the people supporting the people on welfare. So even that is arguably bullshit. I mean, they could fix that whole situation by passing a UBI, but do you know what? Then that would be innovating the state, and that would be innovating the cost of living. Those are two things they don't want to do. Those are two things they will not do. Period. So we're stuck in this state of pun not intended. We're stuck in this state of dystopia, of stagnation, because of these two things. Because of these two areas of society that are completely off limits from all innovation, from all new institutions, from all new ideas, and from all new improvement. And we're just gonna keep pushing the gas on the financial suffering, pushing the gas on the disintegration of society, and accelerating into a fucking wall, which is civil war, which is revolution, which is going to physically destroy the physical society, our bodies, our buildings, and most certainly our institutions. And the state is going to do everything in its power to bring about that revolution, to foster that revolution, to foster the hatred of that coming revolution, because they're hoping that after the war, after the destruction, after the mass bloodshed, their institution will have more money and their institution will have more power. That is what it's all about, and that's what it's always been all about, is these pieces of shit, this room full of pieces of shit, of pieces of human garbage, of feces, are going to conspire to destroy their own nation, to maximize the trillions and trillions of dollars that they already have control over. It's disgusting. It makes me sick, and it should make you sick as well. Anyway, I think that's it for this video. Thank you, and have a nice day.